At the end, and this is the spoiler, we're actually going to wire up a couple of these connectors differently than the instruction says. Are you a 2-meter Morse code operator and you love your NR7Y modified Quansheng, but you really wish you had iambic keying? Have I got the deal for you? Today, I'm going to show you how to build this simple keyer. This is from Pacific Antenna, and you can build a little one that hangs off the side of the Quansheng, and it'll let you do iambic keying. We've got our simple keyer kit. We have a 9-volt battery, a cable that we're going to modify to connect that battery to the keyer kit, along with a couple adapters, and a Quansheng. And that's pretty much it. That's all we need. Let's go ahead and look at the instructions. There's a pretty good set of instructions online. I do want to go over the parts list. I'm going to step through these and make sure that everything that's in the instructions is actually on the board. Here we have the diode. The band end does need to match the board outline. That is orientation dependent. We have this resistor, red, red, orange, gold, that matches. Here's the IC socket. These are our 3 matching capacitors. We have our phone jack already attached to the board. That's convenient. Here's our voltage regulator, the electrolytic capacitor, and these are the 2 MOSFETs right here. We've got our 104 capacitor here, a mode control switch, and our microprocessor. That's it. That's all the stuff we needed. So I'm going to go ahead and install it now. Now it's time to add the microprocessor. This is the brains of the thing. It's going to let it be a keyer. One thing to keep in mind is that the divot here at the end of the chip needs to be aligned with the divot on the board, and that should be aligned with the divot on the socket that you already attached. This is a dip pin, so all we need to do is gently clip it in. And there we go. Our chip is now seated. I put all the parts on. Now what? There's no power supply. Well, we got to add power. If we check the instructions, here's what it says for power. We need 7 volts minimum, 15 volts max. This thing can take almost anything for voltage. Conveniently, a USB-C 9-volt battery fits right in that range, so that's what I'm going to use today. Here's my little adapter cable. So I'm going to connect the red to the plus voltage and the black to ground. Let's get that soldered in. Now for the battery, I need to make a little adapter cable. I need a connector that will go to the battery. So this will clip on like that. And then I need that to go to the other end of my adapter that'll plug into the board. There we go. We have an adapter cable, and that'll plug nicely onto a 9-volt battery. So when we're ready to power up the keyer, we'll just plug this into it. Okay, so now we have a power solution, but how do we connect this to the radio? The iambic key will go into this port, and that has your tip ring sleeve connectors, but we need a way to plug that into the Quansheng and have the Quansheng just see this as a straight key that's turning on and off, right? So for that, we need a female connector here, but we need a male connector coming out the other side to go to the Quansheng. So let's cut up an audio cable and make that part. Cable prepared. The next question is, how do we know which thing to connect to what? And this is where we're going to go slightly off script. If you have an NR7Y modded Quansheng, it's really easy to tell which of the 2 wires coming out of that adapter you need to use. Check this out. I'm just going to take this little piece of wire and short out 2 of these connectors to show you what happens, all right? If you short out these 2, nothing happens. But if you short out these 2, the radio starts transmitting. So those are the 2 connectors that we need to short in order to make this thing transmit. Since we don't need this red connector at all, I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of that. It's going to clean up the cable a bit. There we go. So now all we have are the 2 things we need to short out to make this radio work. The next thing we're going to do is solder this connector onto the key and ST or side tone pins. This is not what you would expect from the directions, but one of the things I worked out with Brian in NR7Y is that having a shared ground between the keyer and the HT confuses it. So you don't want the Quansheng to see the ground on the keyer, and by using these two alternate ports, we can actually still get the keyer to work. That wasn't my best soldering job in the world, but let's connect it all together and see if it works. Power connected to the keyer, modern Morse paddle goes into the TRS jack. Output of the keyer goes into the Quansheng. Okay, no immediate transmit. That's a good sign, and the radio is on. The keyer works. Perfect for the 2026 SOTA challenge with CW and sideband. Quansheng is going to be a great tool for that. Hopefully this helps you use it a little bit more easily.